Hey guys, what's up? It's Tyler Casperson from Grace and Silence, back here in Studio B on my new show, High Voltage SLC. I'm really excited for this episode. I got my good buddy Cashel here from Doom Cupcake, and we're just here to talk about music, reality TV, life, and everything surrounding the Utah music scene. How are you doing?
Good, brother. Yeah, thanks for having me. This is a great setup, man. I'm stoked for you guys.
Yeah, no, it's I want to say it was super fun to build. It was exhausting to build, but it's nice to have.
Right. Yeah, the process, right?
No, for sure.
Yeah, no, you guys did a great job. This is great.
Yeah, no, it's been cool. But what have you been up to recently?
Just like this summer has been just gig city, man. I taught kindergarten all last year.
Awesome. I didn't know that you taught.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've been like, my mom was a teacher and she was like, you should be a sub, and she's like definitely like trying to push me to like teach full time, you know. She was like, my whole life she's like, you know, teaching's a great gig for musicians, you know, you, like, work all day and then you got your nights free. And she wasn't wrong, but like definitely this past school year, like this other band I play in, the Will Baxter band, like gigs with that really picked up. So we do like every other Saturday and then Monday at Lake Effect, and now we got a residency at the Meridian Hotel, which is awesome. Across the street from the Delta Center. We're every Wednesday there now.
That's great,
and
man.
So yeah, like gigs have really picked up. So yeah,
that's
playing
awesome to hear.
With the Will Baxter band a lot. Doom Cupcake has been kind of a slow summer, but we've been doing a lot of like kind of random festivals around the area, you know. Like we played up in Eden at some hippie fest up there, and then packed it up, drove down, and then played on the main stage at the Utah Arts Festival.
Nice. How'd that go?
That was awesome. Yeah, that was sick. So yeah, dude, just playing a lot. So
yeah, that's kind of like always what you're doing, right?
Yeah, man.
And I mean, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
Just being able to play as much music as humanly possible.
Exactly.
And you've been like steeped in music your whole life.
Yeah.
And you know, listening to you play, and you've recorded a little bit on some like Grace and Silence stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like, you're a very, very dynamic player.
Thank you.
And I just kind of wanted to talk about who influences you on the kit and how your style kind of began.
Yeah. Well, I was very fortunate to grow up so I went to public school my whole life. My mom was a public school teacher. And just like really fortunate. So I grew up in Sacramento. What's up?
Reppin'
it. And yeah, this in elementary school, that's like where, you know, like kind of, you know, formal training really began. But like, you know, I grew up in the 90s, and like my dad was really into alt rock. Like his favorite band was like, he's seen Pearl Jam like 12 times or something.
That's
like
awesome.
Yeah, he's like loves Pearl Jam. But like that's what, so we, you know, we grew up, there was back then Quad 106.5 when you still listened to the radio, and the radio wasn't like completely corporatized yet. Quad was like the alt station, and like, you know, Smashing Pumpkins and Sublime and Pearl Jam and Nirvana and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. I've always, you know, I like so many genres, and you know, kind of circling back to something that my high school band director taught me personally, like told all the drummers, like, if you can't play everything, you're worthless as a drummer. Like, you need to be able to show up to a gig and like, okay, they're gonna call a bossa tune, you got to be able to have a good bossa groove. Like you got to be able to swing, you got to be able to play straight, you know, all of those things. So that was the mindset, you know, coming into high school, and like in that time when I was like, you know, being trained, like that's the mindset, be able to play everything. And so Radiohead, like I love that you could have, it could be so groovy or like so quiet, right? And chill and intense and dark, but then also the next track is like a total, burner, like, to a greater point is when I play and the bands I play with, I remember a band I played with in college, and we were writing tunes, and there was somebody came up, had the argument like, oh, this isn't in our vein. This is like, This is like a funk thing. Like, and I go, dude, ever heard of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, dude? Like, they play such an expansive, style, right? But you always know it's the Chili's.
Exactly.
Like,
and
everybody has, just in general, you have your signature, right?
Yeah.
You have
your voice.
feel, your voice.
Totally.
And to me, that's what, who cares if that song doesn't sound like the last song? People are still, you still will have that signature. You'll have, whoever's singing has that voice that you hear and you go, oh yeah, I know that is such and such, performing this, even though this isn't what they usually do. But it's still
you, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I think that there are those bands like the Peppers, like Radiohead, where just the amount of range that they can cover. And it's like kind of going back to what you were saying, where they can play anything.
Yeah.
They can go from, absolute, utter, loss in songs like, Fake Plastic Trees, Everything in Its Right Place,
mm-hmm.
and then go to Just or Creep or, you know, and that's something that I really dig about your style, is being able to make songs move and have that feel change. Because as the drummer, right, I mean, rhythm's the great equalizer of music.
Right.
No matter who you are, rhythm, you can relate to rhythm.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
That's got to be the very first thing that ever happened musically. Right. Some dude hitting something with a stick or something.
Right.
Rhythm is something that's just built into the human mind, into your DNA.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, that was a form of communication, right? It was like you would signal to somebody, you're way down here, and you'd have a drum or whatever and signaling somebody's coming, or like whatever you communicate. Tribes would communicate in all parts of the world, right? You could communicate with the tribe down the block, and like let them know what's happening through a rhythm, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, so kind of circling back to my training, like,
and remind me, what school did you go to? So
let's see, I went to Del Deo Elementary School. Shout out, go Dragons! And
so you were also the Dragons? I went to a school that also had Dragons as the mascot. Yeah. No, that's tight shit.
Yeah, dude. And then my middle school was Arden Middle School, and then my high school I went to Rio Americano, and all of the music teachers were like kind of in cahoots. Trent Teague, rest in peace, he taught me how to play drums, and that was his main instrument. And so he was the elementary school teacher, and he taught at 3 different elementary schools. And I mean, he was like a major Beatles head. Like at his funeral, we sang Beatles. Like his wife like led the crowd in a Beatles song. Like he was a Beatles head. And I also the dude, my kindergarten to first grade best friend, Patrick Shelley, an incredible drummer. He so this is like before you could be in band, right? You couldn't join band until 4th grade.
Yeah. And
you couldn't play drums. Drums you were allowed to start in 5th grade. And I'm like already taking lessons, and like this is like drums was it. And I always knew that. And the story changes. Sometimes my parents are like, oh yeah, you were always banging on pots and pans and stuff. And I'm like, I don't really remember that, but who knows? But Patrick and his older sister, Christine, took drum lessons, and their parents were divorced, but they had drum sets at both houses. And I would like at school ask Patrick like, hey man, are you having drum lessons this weekend? And then I would like tell my mom, hey, like, can you call Patrick's mom, see if I can come over on when they were having drum lessons?
Exactly.
You know, like I wanted to be there, and I would just sit and watch, you know, and his sister would do a lesson, and then he would do a lesson, and I would just sit there and watch. And like, yeah, so I was, you know, kindergarten, you're 5 years old, you know, I was 5-6 years old when I like knew drums, that's what I want to do, that's my instrument. And so yeah, that was like what started it. And then 4th grade, played the trombone because I could make a sound like no one else in the class could like make that instrument work, and I was like, okay, cool, like I can play this. And then just like totally cheated my way through that. Like I couldn't play a B flat concert scale by the end of that year. Like I was just totally cheating my way through it. I could read rhythms, but I couldn't like the bar staff, dude. I just didn't take.
Well, you were thinking about drums.
I was just thinking about drums the whole time. So I'm like, just get through this. And then 5th grade came around, and like, you know, anytime I could play the drum kit, it was like I got to play the drum kit. Sometimes Trent would bring in, he had this awesome Tay, I think is the company, Taye, or maybe it was an Ayoda kit, but he had like a Neil Peart, like just the whole thing. And sometimes he would just have it set up in the band room, and it was like, no, nobody touched my drum set, like nobody except Cashel, he can play it.
No, I love
yeah, man.
Yeah, my piano teacher. So because I went to a music high school,
Right.
And my piano teacher, Nathan Wombold, one of the best music teachers I've ever met. I mean, you know, there's certain teachers that not only touch you on a educational basis, but like they try to understand you, and they try to mold what they're doing to fit what you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
And Nathan was just great, and his piano was the exact same way, because he brought in his stand-up piano that he really liked. He brought it into the classroom sometimes because he had an extra, and he would keep it in the school, and sometimes he would move it into his room.
Yeah.
And he was like, Tyler, you can play it.
He's the only one. Nobody else needs to do that. Just you. Yeah. I felt like, yeah, I can do this.
Exactly. It's like, yes.
Yeah. And, you know, that was so like Trent, what was so cool about, I mean, for all of these schools that I went to, and it all started with Trent, I mean, he made band cool. Like everybody wanted to be in band.
Totally.
Everybody wanted it. And like, how special is that? You know?
No, I mean,
like that's unheard of, you know? Like,
I mean,
it's
a
like,
lot of the times when you
band
think
geeks
of
like me,
exactly,
you know?
right? It's like, it's almost as far as, you know, what high schoolers consider cool and not cool, you know, it's like on the same level as like musical theater or, you know, just something that sometimes people just dog on.
Right. Yeah. And it, you know, like looking back on that, it's like incredible to me that started with Trent and went all the way through both of these other schools. And it was really cool. And I mean, even to the point of I started gigging when I was 16. Like my parent, like before I had a driver's license, you know, because at our school, I don't know how this started, but like people would call the school and be like, hey, can we get like a little quartet or like a trio or something to play, you know, we're opening a new library and we're going to have like a big opening ceremony and we would like some music. So once you like proved that you were good enough.
Yeah. You're like on the list of people to call.
Yeah. You would kind of get on the list. And I remember getting pulled in. It was like it was a big deal, you know, and the directors pulled me in one day and they're like, Cash, we think you're ready. Like, do you want to start making some money and like playing gigs? I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Are you serious? I've been waiting for this. Like, absolutely.
Of course.
And I couldn't even drive yet. So like my parents would drop me off, you know, with all my gear.
That's great.
And we'd set up and play. And, you know, we were just calling tunes, working out of real books. Like,
yeah,
you know, and that's how I built up a jazz vocabulary, you know? And, yeah, man. it was a really, really special environment to learn and train like that. And so I always tell people, like, I'm like a classically trained percussionist and jazz drummer, like I was trained like that. And so the big thing was, if you can't play every style, you're worthless. So had to learn how to do everything. And I think I've told you the 3 rules of music, right? Mm-hmm. And this I learned from in high school, but the 3 rules, right? Everybody knows, always leave them wanting more, right? It's the rule of show business, right? That's not actually the first rule. That's the second rule. Because the first rule is give them what they want before they know they want it, right? You're in control when you're on stage, right?
Yeah.
You want to make everybody in that room eating out of your hand and like fully invested in what you're doing, right? Give them what they want before they want it. Always leave them wanting more. Number 3, the least known, but the most important, in my opinion, is if it sounds good, it is good. Right?
Yes, sir.
And, with that, if it feels good, it is good.
For sure.
So that was always the focus for me, and that's how I approach drumming, and like you said, moving, and that's, I learned that through playing jazz and like learning how much control you have on the drums.
Oh, it's insane. No, and you've done some different shit. Like, I don't know very many people who have done as many different things as you have, as far as like, TV, music, all that kind of shit.
Yeah. So I ended up moving down full time to LA and moved in with this other dude that modeled, my buddy Clayton. And it was, I think we lived down there for a year, and then he moved to New York, and he signed with a big agency out there in New York. And it was that summer, so like we had just like parted ways after living together for like maybe 2 years. And he calls me and he goes, "Yo, dude, so I just got this weird call from CBS, and they like a scout or whatever asked me if I wanted to do Amazing Race, and they asked me if I knew any other models that I was really close with that I would want to be my partner on the Amazing Race. Like, do you want to do the fucking Amazing Race?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course. That sounds hella fun. Let's do that shit." So we went through like the whole process of getting onto that show, and like you got to make these videos and blah blah blah, and there's all this, these people, red tape, people who have to give approval. So then you get to the point where you are like about to go like interview with the heads of CBS, and so they sequester you in a hotel for 3 days, and like you take a big psych evaluation. Like one afternoon, I bubbled like 1,200 bubbles, right? And then of like character assessment and shit and psychological testing. And then they process that, and you like sit down with this psychologist, and they're like, okay, they don't show you your chart of like what, this assessment has brought, but basically it's like, they're trying to see if you're stable enough to be in a high stress situation and be on camera, and like you're not going to kill somebody. But like this is also how they test, okay, this person's crazy, like this person will be good TV, or like this,
sure.
They have all these profiles and these characters that they want
fascinating
to kind of like, so okay, we know that this person's really intense, they'll fill that void. They'll fill that role. We know that this person's like very like loving and caring and maybe will cry a lot, they'll fit that role. This person's like just hardcore, intense, doesn't give a fuck about anything except winning, that fills that role.
Yeah.
So we didn't make it onto the show. We were like the first alternate. So if a guy team drops out or gets sick, before, like they're like, even if it's the day before we're about to start filming, we'll call you and we'll fly you out to wherever it's happening. So we ended up not getting that call. And a year later, the following summer, I got a call from CBS, and they're like, hey, we're casting this show called Love Island. It's like a dating show. Do you want to do it? And I was like, no, not really. Like, Amazing Race sounded really fun. Like, I've seen it a couple times. Like, that's fun. That's the kind of, I would love to do that. But like a dating show, like, that's not me. I'm not really into that. And they're like, oh, well, why don't you watch the show? Like, basically, then I started getting calls a couple times a week from CBS, and they like, the more I said no, the more they wanted me. You know, like, oh, we got to have you on this show. And I'm
because
like,
you don't want to.
Yeah, you know, classic LA, right? And so, yeah, I just keep getting this call. I'm talking to my agents, my modeling agents, like, what do you think of this? They're like, do not do that show. Like, they'll control your image, and like, you might, they might make you look like an asshole, and that's going to be bad for us, because then like that'll affect all these things. Like, don't do reality TV. Don't do it. And they just kept calling, and eventually the casting agent was like, what, have you seen the show? Like, why don't you watch the show? Go watch an episode or two. So I like turn on, Love Island UK for the first time. And I'm like, well, this just kind of reminds me of like every summer of my life growing up on swim team. Like, we would have morning practice, and then we'd all hang out for the rest of the day until our parents picked us up or whatever. And just like, flirt with all the chicks on the swim team that are our homies.
Sure.
My first girlfriend was on swim team, and like, that's what we did. We were just sitting around in our Speedos, tanning, talking, chatting up the girlies, that was me. Like, I'm like watching this on TV, and I'm like, oh, no, this looks totally fine. I could do this. This will be funny. This will be interesting. And of course, there's got to be a sidestep. There's someone I bet I'll meet somebody that can get me into music, and on a major scale, So I said, fuck it, let's do it, and that's how that happened. And of course, that fucking sidestep to music never came. But that's how I met the dude that I was telling you about, that was like Ryan Seacrest's like manager. And so like seeing all this, and you sent me that other episode, and like seeing your guys' setup and like your questions and the way like you're kind of moving all of this, I was gonna say, that dude, after I got off Love Island, I go and I have a meeting. Then you have a debriefing meeting with all the people. Huh. So I go and
there's so many facets to this that, from, someone like me who, doesn't know shit about anything in that world. It's pretty interesting.
It is, man. And that was like another reason that I was like, yeah, I'll do that. Like, I want to see how this sausage is made. How does this work?
Yeah.
Are they going to be really manipulative? Are like they're gonna like force alcohol down our throats so that we do stupid shit? Are they gonna tell us to do stupid shit? Are they manipulative? Like, what's it like? I was so intrigued. I want to like, who doesn't want to know about that kind of stuff? So anyway, they weren't manipulative. But they're, on that note, they do be trying to like set you up to step in shit. Like,
of course, it's TV.
It's TV. So like, you'd go into like the one-on-one, you and just the camera, and like those shots that they cut to.
Yeah.
And that was a trip, because it's like you walk into a room that has a chair and a camera and a microphone, and that's it. And so there's someone remote who is like, it was like a little like Charlie's Angels little speaker box. And there was this person on the other side. It was like Brian in the morning, and like Marquette, or I forget the chick's name, in the evening. And you end up having this relationship with someone that you've never met, but they're speaking to you on a little speaker box. It was fucking weird, man. And so you would say whatever, like ask you, so like what's going on, and you like say something, and I was like very careful to not, like, I just figured, my agents are like, don't do this, like they're gonna make you look bad. And I thought, here's the thing, like I know that there are plenty of people out there who think I'm an asshole, but like I'm generally not an asshole, and I'm a good guy, and like I like who I am. And so like I just thought, if CBS is going to try and make me look like an asshole, shame on them. Like, fuck that.
And also, I mean, they can't work with anything you don't give them.
Right. Exactly.
If you don't say anything stupid,
Right. So I just went in there like, okay, I'm just going to be me, and I think it's all going to work out fine. And that I felt like I accomplished that. I felt like that was pretty cool. It was cool to hear friends, hit me up once I got kicked off or whatever. People just calling me, and like, friends from high school, people who know me really well, friends from college, and they're just like, man, it was so cool to watch that. I was watching it with like some buddies of mine who don't know you, and I'm like, oh fuck, that's my buddy Cashel. We went to high school together. We went to college together, like whatever. And they would all be like, is that what he's like? Is that who Cashel is? Or is he like doing a different thing? And everybody was like, that's exactly what he's like. That's exactly who Cashel is. And that felt really good,
For
and
sure.
It felt it was cool that a buddy of mine was like, dude, that was so fun, because it's been so long since we've seen each other, but like I watched that show religiously because it was like hanging out with you, man. It was just like that. It just was cool to see. I'm like, that's fucking rad.
That's great.
Yeah, that felt good. So I also like set a precedent early, because you'd be in the one-on-one and you'd say something, and I'd like flirt that line. I would just make sure to not say something, polarizing.
Yeah.
But be honest. And then they'd be like, okay, so it sounds like you're saying this. Could you maybe say it like this for me? And I'd be like, nope. I said what I said. You have it on camera. You deal with it. But I'm not saying that, because that's not what I said. I said this.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. I'm not going to say it like that. They would, make it a little more
they're trying
extreme, and I'd be like, no, that's not what I'm doing. And so, yeah, pretty quickly, I like set this precedent of like, you are not going to manipulate me. I'm not going to allow you to change how I'm behaving.
For sure.
Because this is what I'm doing. And so soon enough, I just became friends with all the producers, and I was closer in age to all the producers. They were all in their like early 30s, and I was 28 at the time. A lot of psychology goes into these shows and how they set them up.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty sweet.
I mean, it's like, some of it's like kind of fucked up, but it's kind of
weird.
Cool.
Yeah. Like it's all based on, it's all a big manipulation tactic, but like, yeah, super fascinating.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how all of those kind of things happened. And I don't know. I guess I just am lucky enough to like stumble into shit like that. I stumbled into modeling. I stumbled into, the reality TV stuff. And then that led to doing another one. I did the challenge a couple years later, which was super fun, short lived. I lost quick, but it was really fun, and like, that's just like, to me, that's just life. Like, take it as it comes and see what happens. And for me in my journey, it always comes back to music. It's always like, is this going to help? Could this potentially parlay me into some better, bigger music situation?
And now, of course, you're playing a ton now.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming that's kind of more what you want for the future. It's just more music. Am I wrong? Is that kind of...
No, that's it, man. Like, as much as I possibly can play, as many different styles as I can play, that's it, man. Like, that's all I've ever wanted. And it's nice. It's funny. I was watching, I saw a clip of a Dave Grohl interview the other day, and he kind of, I don't know, kind of similar to what we were saying, like that. Yeah, of course you want to play on these big stages, but 99% of musicians don't get to that level, right? And I think he was talking about like live music and how he's like, I'm fucking worried that, you know, live music is dying. And
I think I actually know exactly what you're talking about. I think I watched the same thing. Yeah.
And he says something to the effect of like, what people don't like, what I want people to remember is like, just fucking play live, play as much as you can. And it doesn't matter. Like most bands, most musicians aren't ever gonna get to that level.
Yeah.
But as long as you're having fun, as long as you're, you know, bringing the heat and bringing the joy that you get from playing music, as long as you can do that, you could be happy. Like,
no, and
do that.
I remember what he said, and yeah, it's something to the effect of like, you know, if you can set your frame of mind to where if what it really is for you, if you truly love music, you know, then a lot of the time you kind of have to find a place where it's like, do it because you love it.
Yeah.
Not with any external expectation that there's going to necessarily be this big break. Mm-hmm. There might be, there might not be.
Right.
But if you're just doing it because you love playing music and because it's what fills your soul, then, you know, what else is there, right?
Right. That's you know, and that certainly, you know, it took me a while to see that in the way that I see it now. 'Cause yeah, sure, you want the break. You want to play for, you know, 60,000 people and all that. But it's what I love to do, you know.
And that's what, and you didn't start to do it because
right.
you wanted to play for 6,000. You started playing because, you know, and I think everyone who's passionate about something, there was a moment where you found the connection with this art form, with this medium, and that was it. It had nothing to do with anyone else. Whether anyone gave a shit, whether people thought you were good, people thought you were shit, didn't matter. Because you loved it.
Yeah. And that's what's important. And what I've always said was like, for what music does to me, and when I go to a show or, you know, put on a record that whatever speaks to me, you know, it's like, that's all I've ever wanted to do. Totally. is I want to make people feel the way I feel when I listen to music.
I completely agree, man.
That's what it is for me. And then on the selfish side is like also because that is when I'm most happy, is when I'm behind a kit playing with other people, connecting on that musical level. That, like, it doesn't matter if I'm in the practice room with a band or we're on stage, and it doesn't matter if there's nobody there or if they're paying attention or not. Like, it's just the action of it. It's just, I love it so much. And that reminds me of another cool story that my high school director told us. And he was talking to some jazz great. I can't remember who, but he's talking to some, like, you know, like maybe it was Wynton Marsalis, I don't know, but like big jazz name. And he says when you're playing and you're out gigging, he said, when you look out into the crowd, yes, it feels good when everybody's engaged with you and just staring at you and digging and dancing, and like, of course that fills the, you know, the musician's soul. Of course I want that. But he goes, also pay attention, because life should be happening. So when you look out into a crowd, there should be people dancing, or like if you see this, then like you're doing something right, I think was the deal. If you look out and there's a couple dancing and there's a couple smooching and there's a couple fighting and somebody's asleep and somebody's laughing and somebody is on the phone, and, you know, if that's what's happening in the room you're playing in, you're doing something right, because life should be happening and the music you're making should be facilitating that. No,
I've had a great time talking to you, and I really appreciate you being willing to come do this. And It's always great just getting to talk to you. I really enjoy talking to you.
Yeah, me too. I love talking music with you, and I look forward to the next time I get to catch Grace and Silence and see what you guys are doing.
Dude, we've got a release show on the 16th at Black Lung Society in Ogden.
Dope.
You should totally swing by, dude.
Dope. Yeah, I will. If I'm not gigging,
yeah, dude,
I'll try and come by. So yeah, thanks for having me. And you know what I was gonna say? We never got to the point. Yeah, I talk like that. But the dude, the Ryan Seacrest guy, he was like, I think you would be really good at like this. Like people, you're interested in people. You ask good questions. Like I think you could we could try and get you in a position like this. And I say, cool, let's fucking do it. I'm down. I love that. And he goes, but like, you need to like go start your own YouTube channel and like get famous on it first, and then come talk to me about that. And I'm like, what the fuck? So anyway, when I saw that you were doing this and I watched that episode and stuff, I was like, that's what I thought. I was like, damn, Tyler's really good at this.
Thank you.
Like, yeah, you ask great questions, and you know, you love music, and so like it's easy, right? Talking music is easy. But so I wish you the best of luck with this new channel, and I assume like you're doing that, right? Like YouTube channel and all that business.
Yeah, so this channel, just Tyler Casperson Music, and it used to be Oasis Studios Live, and it started as just kind of my platform to play guitar, and I did a lot of, well, pretty much exclusively just covers of different songs. But now that my band's starting to get more of a catalog together, I just wanted to kind of transition to this into being more of a original content thing. Yeah. And we came up with the idea to do interviews alongside, like doing playthroughs of our songs and other stuff around the band. And I was just like, that sounds awesome, you know? Yeah. Because I just love to talk music with people, and so this is a super fun way to get to do that and to be able to engage the community here in Utah.
Totally, man. Yeah, well, best of luck with it, and it looks great. Obviously, you guys, great sound, and yeah, good luck. It's awesome.
Thank you, man.
I'm stoked for you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, buddy.
I try, we see, we fight.